There's something almost comical about being told you don't belong while literally sitting in a seat your father paid thousands of dollars for. That's what hit me first, the absurdity. Then came the humiliation. I was in seat 4A on Luxair Flight 237, heading from Chicago to New York, wearing my Yale sweatshirt, flipping through my physics notes. I was 16, prepped for the Einstein STEM competition at Columbia, and trying to stay focused. I mean, it wasn't just a flight. It was a step toward my future. My dad, Dr. Marcus Williams, founder of a multi-billion-dollar tech company, had booked me a first-class seat using our Diamond Elite membership. So no, this wasn't some lucky upgrade. This was earned, paid for, confirmed. And then, Brittany showed up. She was the flight attendant, and her smile had the kind of edge that said she'd already made up her mind about me. "There seems to be a mistake," she said, scanning me like I was wearing a hoodie in a jewelry store. "This section is reserved for our Diamond Elite members." Yeah, that happened. Before I could respond, Patricia Harrington stepped up behind her. You could smell the entitlement before you saw the Rolex. "I always sit in 4A, she said, loud enough for the entire cabin to hear. "It's practically my seat." That's when I knew this wasn't about policy. It was about perception, about who they expected to see in that seat. I calmly showed my boarding pass. Brittany blinked like she didn't expect me to have proof, then pivoted fast. "Well, this seat is typically for our most loyal Diamond Elite members," gesturing to Patricia like she was royalty. That's when I saw Patricia slipping a $100 bill into Brittany's palm, like it was part of some unspoken ritual. And you know what? They thought nobody noticed. But in 5C sat Alicia Dominguez, a journalist for The Atlantic. She wasn't just watching, she was recording. Every micro-expression, every transaction, in 4K. Brittany left. A few minutes later, she came back with Bradley, the head flight attendant, all puffed up authority and fake courtesy. He leaned into my space, lowered his voice, and said they needed me to move for a valued passenger. He gestured toward Patricia like she was holding court. "I'm not moving," I said, voice calm, heart pounding. He didn't like that. Especially not when I pointed to my ticket again and reminded him that I was Diamond Elite too. But the deal had already been made. Patricia slipped him $500 bills like she was tipping a valet, and he didn't flinch. The threat came next. "You can either move willingly," Bradley said, "or we can make this difficult." I looked him straight in the eye. "This is my assigned seat. I'm not moving." That's when they called the captain. Captain Richard Thornton came down the aisle like I was some kind of security risk. "You're being uncooperative," he said, like I'd committed a felony by sitting down. 3 staff members were now standing over a high school kid who had done nothing but sit where his ticket told him to. And they wanted me gone. But what they didn't know, what nobody realized, was that every word, every dollar passed, every smug look was being recorded. When they finally threatened to call security, I hit record. "I want to be clear," I said. "I'm being removed because a white passenger wants my seat, and she's willing to pay for it." The video was calm. My voice was steady, but the truth was damning. 2 officers showed up. One white, one Latino. They looked embarrassed just standing there. I asked them what rule I was breaking. They didn't answer. I asked again, was I being removed for refusing to give up my seat to someone else? Captain Thornton stepped in. "You're being removed for causing a disturbance." Yeah, that lie. I gathered my things slowly, with as much dignity as I could muster while the cabin watched. Some looked away, ashamed. Others filmed. One older black woman shook her head. A younger woman teared up. But nobody stopped it. Patricia leaned toward Bradley as I walked past. "Some people just don't belong up here," she said, out loud, in first class, like it was still 1952. That, too, was caught on camera. When I got off the plane, I texted my dad. They kicked me off. I have videos. He called me instantly. His voice was steel wrapped in fire. He told me to stay where I was. Then he went to war. See, what the airline didn't know was that my dad was literally in a boardroom with Luxair execs, finalizing a $75 million deal to integrate his company's AI system into their operations. He read my text, then showed them the videos. One after another. Faces drained. Jaws clenched. The room shifted. But it didn't end there. By the time Alicia Dominguez published her article, First Class Corruption, cash, power, and racism at 30,000 feet. The internet was already on fire. The footage of cash bribes, the confrontation, the smug remarks, it all exploded across social media. Luxair stock dropped 23% in 20 minutes. CNN called for comment. Trading froze. Executives panicked. Then came the press conference. Marcus Williams, my dad, walked into the media scrum with me at his side. Cameras flashed. Reporters yelled questions. But he didn't flinch. My son had a ticket, a confirmed seat, Diamond Elite status. And he was treated like a criminal because he didn't look like he belonged. His voice echoed like thunder. This wasn't just racism. It was bribery. It was paid discrimination. And it stops now. He pulled the $75 million deal publicly. Called for the immediate firing of everyone involved, from Brittany to Bradley to the captain. And this was the moment that dropped jaws, he demanded the airline suspend all operations for 48 hours for mandatory anti-bias training across the company. From pilots to baggage handlers. Everyone. Montgomery, the CEO, turned gray. But the thing is, Luxair did it. 6 months later, the airline wasn't just functioning again, it had become a global case study in reform. My algorithm, the one I presented at the competition, the one that flags discriminatory behavior in real time, was adopted airline-wide. And then by the entire industry. Even Brittany and Bradley went through the Second Chance program. My dad launched working entry-level jobs with regional carriers, learning accountability from the ground up. That one moment, that injustice at 30,000 feet, turned into a movement. And yeah, I won the competition. But what meant more was seeing the system that failed me bend even slightly toward justice. One night, I asked my dad, "Do you think it really changed anything?" He looked at me for a long time, then said, "Sometimes the world only changes because someone finally refuses to be quiet." So now I'm asking you, have you ever been told you didn't belong? Have you ever been pushed aside for someone louder, richer, or whiter? Tell your story in the comments. Because silence lets injustice breathe. And if you believe everyone deserves dignity no matter their seat, status, or skin, share this. Speak up, because the next Jaden might be watching.